Chapter 10, The Rogue Bludger. Since the disastrous episode of the Pixies, Professor Lockhart had not brought live creatures to class again. Instead, he read passages from his books to them and sometimes reenacted some of the most dramatic bits. He usually picked Harry to help him with these reconstructions, so far. And Harry had been forced to play a simple Transylvanian villager whom Lockhart had cured of the babbling curse, a yeti with a head cold, and a vampire who had been unable to eat anything except lettuce since Lockhart had dealt with him. Harry was hauled to the front of class during their very next Defence Against the Dark Arts lesson, this time acting as a werewolf. If he hadn't had a very good reason for keeping Lockhart in a good mood, he would have refused to do it. Nice loud howl, Harry. Yes, exactly. And then, if you'll believe it, I pounced like this, slammed him to the floor. Thus, with one hand, I managed to hold him down, and with my other, I put my wand to his throat. Then I screwed up my remaining strength and performed the immensely complex Homorphous charm. He let out a piteous moan. Go on, Harry, higher than that. Yeah, that's it. Good. The fur vanished, the fangs shrank, and he turned back into a man. Simple yet effective. And another village will remember me forever as the hero who delivered them from the monthly terror of werewolves' attacks. Homework, as the bell rang. Lockhart got to his feet and said, Homework! Compose a poem about my defeat of the Wagga Wagga werewolf. Signed copies of Magical Me to the author of the best one. The class began to leave. Harry returned to the back of the room where Ron and Hermione were waiting. Ready, muttered Harry. Wait till everyone's gone, said Hermione nervously. All right, now. She approached Lockhart's desk, a piece of paper clutched tightly in her hand, Ron and Harry right behind her. Professor Lockhart, Hermione said, I wanted to get this book out of the library, just for background reading. She held out the piece of paper, her hand shaking slightly. But the thing is, it's in the restricted section of the library, so I need a teacher to sign for it, please. I'm sure it would help me with understanding what you say in Gadding with Ghouls about slow-acting venoms. Ah, Gadding with Ghouls, said Lockhart, taking the note from Hermione and smiling widely at her. Possibly my favourite book. You enjoyed it? Oh, yes, said Hermione eagerly. So clever the way you trapped that last one with a tea strainer. With a tea strainer? Well, I'm sure no one will mind me giving the best student of the year a little extra help, said Lockhart warmly. And he pulled out an enormous peacock quill. Yes, nice, isn't it? He said, misreading the revolted look on Ron's face. I usually save it for book signings. He scrawled an enormous loopy signature on the note and handed it back to Hermione. So, Harry, said Lockhart, while Hermione folded the note with fumbling fingers and slipped it into her bag. Tomorrow's the first Quidditch match of the season, I believe. Gryffindor against Slytherin, is it not? I hear you're a useful player. I was a seeker too. I was asked to try for the national squad, but preferred to dedicate my life to the eradication of dark forces. Still, if you ever feel a need for a little private training, don't hesitate to ask. Always happy to pass on my expertise to less able players. Harry made an indistinct noise in his throat and then hurried off after Ron and Hermione. I don't believe it, he said as the three of them examined the signature on the note. He didn't even look at the book we wanted. That's because he's a brainless git, said Ron. But who cares? We've got what we needed. He is not a brainless git, said Hermione as they ran toward the library. Just because he said you were the best student of the year. They dropped their voices as they entered the muffled silence of the library. Madam Pitts, The librarian was a thin, irritable woman who looked like an underfed vulture. Most potent potions, she repeated, suspiciously, trying to take the note from Hermione, but Hermione wouldn't let go. I was wondering if I could keep it, she said breathlessly. Oh, come on, said Ron, watching it, wrenching it from her grasp and thrusting it at Madame Pince. We'll get you another autograph. Lockhart will sign anything if it stands still for long enough. Madame Pince held the note up to the light as though determined to detect a forgery, but it passed the test. She stalked away between the lofty shelves and returned several minutes later carrying a large and mouldy-looking book. Hermione put it carefully into her bag, and they left, trying not to walk too quickly or look too guilty. 5 minutes later, they were barricaded in Moaning Myrtle's out-of-order bathroom once again. Hermione had overridden Ron's objections by pointing out that it was the last place anyone in their right minds would look. And so they were guaranteed some privacy. Moaning Myrtle was crying noisily in her stall, but they were all ignoring her as she then. Hermione opened Most Potent Potions book carefully, and the three of them bent over the damp, spotted pages. It was clear from a glance why it belonged in the restricted section. Some of the potions had effects too gruesome to think of, and there were some very unpleasant illustrations. Here it is, said Hermione excitedly as she found the page headed The Polyjuice Potion. It was decorated with drawings of people halfway through transforming into other people. Harry sincerely hoped the artist had imagined the look of pain on their faces. This is the most complicated potion I've ever seen, said Hermione as they scanned the recipe. Laceworm flies, leeches, fluxweed, and knotgrass, she murmured, running her fingers down the list of ingredients. Well, they're easy enough. They're in the student store cupboard. We can help ourselves. Oh, look, powdered horn of a bicorn. Don't know where we're going to get that. Shredded skin of a boomslang. That'll be tricky too. And of course, a bit of whoever we want to change into. Excuse me, pardon, what? Said Ron sharply. What do you mean, a bit of whoever we're changing into? I'm drinking nothing with crab's toenails in it. Hermione continued as though she hadn't heard them. We don't have to worry about that yet, though, because we add those bits last. Ron turned speechless to Harry, who had another worry. Do you realize how much we're going to have to steal, Hermione? Shredded skin of a boomslang, that's definitely not in the student's cupboard. What we're going to do? What are we going to do? Break into safes, personal, private stores? I don't think this is a good idea. Hermione shut the book with a snap. Well, if you two are going to chicken out, fine. There were bright pink patches on her cheeks and her eyes were brighter than usual. I don't want to break the rules, you know. I think threatening Muggle-borns is far worse than brewing up a difficult potion. But if you want to find out if it's Malfoy, I'll go straight to Madame... If you don't want to find out if it's Malfoy, I'll go straight to Madame Pince now, and hand the book back. I never thought I'd see the day when you're persuading us to break the rules, said Ron. All right, we'll do it, but not toenails, okay? How long will it take to make? Anyway, said Harry as Hermione, looking happier, opened the book again. Well, since the wheat flux has got to be picked at the full moon and the lace wings have got to be stewed for 21 days, I'd say it'll be ready about a month from now, if we can get all the ingredients. A month, said Ron. Malfoy could have attacked half the Muggle-borns in the school by then. But Hermione's eyes narrowed dangerously again, and he added, but it's the best plan we've got, so full steam ahead, I say. However, while Hermione was checking that the coast was clear for them to leave the bathroom, Ron muttered to Harry, it'll be a lot less hassle if you can just knock Malfoy off his broom tomorrow. That's a good idea. Oh, we will find out what happens at the Quidditch game tomorrow. Good night.